I have with me Ram, co-founder and director from TAT Capital. And I guess my first question is, obviously culturally, India and Australia are completely different. And I was wondering what you thought like the biggest barriers to overcome for Australians entering the Indian market and how really Australians can make the most of the cultural diversity.
Look, I think one of the major barriers that I see between both cultures is Australian culture is very much driven around an individual behavior, where typically any Asian culture, including India, it's a summation of collective behaviors, right? And by far, Australian relationships are highly transactional, whereas typically Asian cultures, and with no exception to India, they are very, very relationship-driven cultures. So there will be a battle of how do you strike the balance, and only way you can strike the balance and understand these issues is by spending the time, getting to know the culture, understand a few tricks from the history from both countries. Doesn't matter, an Indian wants to do business in Australia, and an Indian doesn't have, if an Indian doesn't have any understanding of Australian traditional Aboriginal owners or Australian thinking around beer o'clock on a Friday evening or 4 o'clock. If Indians don't understand these concepts, they can't be successful here. Simple things like this. When you go to India, there are certain things you shouldn't do, and there are certain things you should do. So it's a matter of spending the time, spending the effort to learn from the history, learn the current trends that's going on, and basically getting to know people, find good advisors, good partners from both countries to bridge the gap.
Just sort of to, following on from that, what should drive people to want to do business in India?
Oh, well, India is a big market for every kind of product or service. I think, like I said, it's the youngest nation in the world. There are more number of 30-year-olds in India than many other countries in the world. It is the youngest country with all kinds of opportunities. If there is one sector that is, there is no one single sector which actually gives you lesser opportunity. And India is one of those countries where multiple companies can coexist and still be profitable. Multiple companies together can benefit to serve the ecosystem, unlike an oligopoly that you have in Australia. So there is more number of reasons to grow your franchise in India because there is always a market for every kind of product and service in India.
Great, thanks so much for coming tonight.